So I'm here at my daughter's house, and it's creating a kind of a unique environment for me to deploy something for her to help secure her network. Let me tell you what I mean by that. One, she's got a husband that works from home, and he deals with VPNs all day long with his work. She's also got two kids that are a little bit older than some of my other grandkids. So content filtering is an issue here for us, as well as the fact that she does have some IoT devices, but it's not the main focus. But trust me, I've got the device just right for her. So I've gone through with my daughter and we've looked around her house. And she doesn't have as many IoT devices, as well as her internet isn't as fast. So in this particular case, I'm choosing to install the Firewalla Blue Plus. Now, believe it or not, there is, yes, a regular blue. I'm feeling blue. No. So the difference between these two is this one's more powerful. Same throughput, about 500 megabits. Again, we're not going to see any buffering when it comes to streaming with these type of devices. Again, depending on what the ISP service is like. But I chose the Plus because it's got some additional features to it besides the fact of being more powerful that we'll utilize in this particular scenario. This has a ton of features in it. Things like parental controls. Things like I can turn off my kids' devices at certain times, get warnings when they go to inappropriate websites. I can group my TVs together that are streaming and turn them off at 11 o'clock at night. I can also get notifications of when someone's hacking me. Yeah, when was the last time your router did that? Now, this isn't a replacement for your router. It's an add-on feature for your router. It's gonna make your router be on steroids, which is really, really cool. What's also neat is some of the features allow me to see some of the things going on even when I'm not at home. So I get a notification that a certain device is going to a certain website that maybe I've blocked. Or, hey, it's bedtime, I need to make sure the kids go to bed, so let's turn off all the TVs. I know that seems like a lot of features, but trust me, there's even more than that. I think you could say there's a plethora of features. We're not gonna have time to cover all those. This is designed to be a basic setup and getting to know the Firewalla product. But know that we're gonna be coming out with more videos about each one of the key features for the Firewall. So at this daughter's particular home, she's running a mesh network, which basically means she's got a whole bunch of little routers for Wi-Fi to make sure she has good coverage. Well, what's important here is when you're plugging in the Firewalla, you need to make sure that you identify the primary mesh router. Once I've done that, it's easy to deploy. I'm just gonna simply plug in my power here. I'm gonna take my Ethernet cord. I'm gonna plug it into the only port, it's not like I can goof this up, into the back of the Firewalla, and then I can plug the other side into the LAN, that's LAN, short for local area network. Plug that into that port on the back of the router. After that, the installation is going to continue via the app, but don't put this device away yet because during the installation, the app's going to ask you for this QR code. And it's a way of making sure that only you are connecting to this device to manage it, which is really kind of cool. So the first step you're going to want to do is to go and download and install the Firewalla app. Yep, it's available on both the Apple Store as well as Google Play. So after you install the Firewalla app, you're going to want to come to the main screen here, which was what comes up, and hit the plus sign because you're going to be adding a new Firewalla device. It then asks you, which device do you have? Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Dale, there is no Blue Plus listed here. That's okay. Go ahead and just use the blue in this case. It then tells you to make sure that the Firewalla is plugged in to your router as well as has power. Well, I've already done that, so I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. It then goes through and starts searching for the Firewalla. It does this via Bluetooth, which is really kind of cool because technically we have no way of connecting to it. It also gives us a reminder in a couple of these splash screens of some of the features of the Firewalla, including cyber protection, the ability to have parental controls, also privacy, because we can set up VPNs as we travel. We connect back through the Firewall to keep our data safe. Also, we can block ads across all devices. And once it's found, the app is going to ask you to scan the QR code on the bottom of the unit. It then asks me, how do I want to use the purple? Do I want to use it as a router? Absolutely, because that's the most features that I'll get out of this device. But I get it. Some of you folks might not have the environment where you can use it as the router, in which case you'd select no, add to an existing network. But I'm going to select set up as a router, and then it says that I need to connect to my modem, which I've already done. I've connected my 2 cables up, so I'm going to hit next. And then it says, how do you want to do this setup? For a majority of us out there, we're going to use the DHCP, meaning that we get an IP address from our ISP service, which would be your internet service provider. The PPOE, that's actually for power over Ethernet, requires you to have an account. Some of you might have that option as well. You'll want to check with your ISP. Now, I personally have a static IP, so that's the option that I selected back when I set mine up at my house. And triple play is well beyond this particular video, so I'm going to just select DHCP because you're all saying, Dale, just let's get to it. So here it says, okay, here's your WAN connection. Gives me the name of ISP1. I can click on that field and put in the name of the ISP, which for my daughter is a company called TDS. Except for I've got an I there. Let me back that up again. And we'll type in TDS. The connection type is DHCP. It then asks for some additional information. I'm going to just leave everything as it is right now. But I am going to disable this IPv6 for now. It's a little buggy at IPv6 as a whole. One day we'll probably all switch over to it. But again, just for now, I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to then select continue. It says it's setting it up, so we're not going to disturb it. Okay, so we are then presented with the setup a new Firewalla. I'm going to go ahead and, instead of doing a manual setup, we'd like to do things easy. So I'm going to hit continue. And it's going to go through and set up all the settings for us. And then it's going to go through and do something really interesting. And this is going to be something that you have an option to do. It's going to start to discover all the different devices that are currently hooked into your Wi-Fi network. And that's cool. But sometimes those names of those devices will appear as really bizarre looking names. And many times we're wondering, well, which Ring device or which Alexa device or even Google Assistant is this? The best way that I can tell you to help manage this is turn off all the Wi-Fi devices or all your IoT devices and then turn them on one at a time, and you'll see them appear inside of the Firewalla app. You're then able to go through and rename those to names that make sense to you. And this is going to come into play when we do things like grouping devices together, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. So that process can actually take a little bit of time, but eventually you're going to get to this welcome to Firewalla. I'm going to go ahead and select get started. And immediately we're going to start to see different devices that it picks up on the network. As I talk here, matter of fact, you can see down here that it shows 25 different devices. And if I come in and look at the devices, it shows each one of those. And you'll notice, like, for example, there's several Apple devices. And you're like, but Dale, which one is that? Well, my best way to help you with this environment is to technically turn off all the Wi-Fi devices, either disconnect them or unplug them. So if it's a mobile phone or a tablet, turn off the Wi-Fi. If it's a smart TV, unplug it. And then plug them in one at a time, wait for them to appear, and you'll see a little green dot. Notice this one here on this Apple device. When you see it appear, you're able to touch on that device. Don't let all this information here scare you. As we get used to the Firewalla, you'll really appreciate it. But I'm going to scroll down here and notice the device name just says Apple Inc. Well, I can click on it and then change the name to, I don't know, let's see, this is my daughter's phone, so I'm going to put in Krista's phone. And so now you can see that Krista's phone now appears as Krista's phone. I could do Krista's iPhone if I wanted. So this is a really good way of helping to organize all the information, all the different devices. Because a little bit later on, we're going to create different groups. Like I can put all of my IoT devices in one group and monitor them a specific way, or I can go through and create a group of all of my TVs and turn off certain features. Let's back up here so I can come back to the main Firewalla app. And you can see I've already got some alarms going off. If I select the alarms button, it shows me things like new devices that have hooked in. And I can go through and delete those or just archive them so I don't see them anymore in my list. But here's something that's even better. I'm gonna back up here, and my whole goal here is to start protecting my kids and grandkids. So one of the features that we have is being able to come in down here at the bottom and select family. And with family, I have the option of turning on different features designed for families. So I can do family protect, which goes through and says, okay, you want to apply these family settings. And what this does is it helps with adult materials as well as making sure that our kids stay safe. And you can see here that I can apply this to individual devices if I need to. But I'm gonna say I wanna just apply it to all my devices. So any device, in this case, she's got 23 of them, but any new device will get these family settings. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save here. And then I'm gonna turn on safe search, which is gonna go through and make it so that different devices or the devices that I specify here will automatically be included in safe searches. For example, if I hit platform, I'm gonna say I wanna apply safe searches for Google searches, for Bing searches, for DuckDuckGo. I'm gonna go ahead and activate YouTube because trust me, there's some stuff on YouTube that is kind of scary. And then I'm gonna specify I want it to apply to which devices. Again, I'm gonna say all my devices. And I'm gonna hit save. And now that filter is applied to any device that comes onto her network. You'll notice here the social hour option down at the bottom. This allows us to just in one tap block all social networking activities for 1 hour. So we can have some kid time or family time. Let's back up here. So that's the family settings. The other setting I want to show you here is actually listed under more. So I'm going to hit more down here at the bottom, and I'm going to come up here to Active Protect. Active Protect is turned on by default, and this is going to help protect us from high-risk network activities like hacking stuff, people trying to get into your home. Again, hackers don't understand that it's a home. They just see a connection to the internet. The mode here is set for default, and that's fine. You can do strict if you want, which would block more, but sometimes that gets us into trouble. So I'm just gonna cancel out of that. I'm gonna back out one more time. And then finally, this is actually one of my favorite items. It's called New Device Quarantine. I'm gonna click on that one. I'm gonna turn this feature on. What this feature says is that if a new device joins my Wi-Fi network, let's say for example, my grandkid brings over one of his friends and his friend hooks in his phone into the Wi-Fi. Well, it automatically quarantines him. It gives him no internet access if that's my choice I want to make. And I have to, or my daughter will have to then approve that device to allow them onto the network. So again, it says it applies to, I'm going to select all networks. And you can see here that you could specify your networks. We just have the one, so I'm going to cancel out of that. And check this out. Now I just joined the network, and you can see here I immediately got this notification that a new device was connected to the network and has been quarantined. I don't have to have the Firewall app up to see this notification, and I don't have to be at home. So I can just select to view the quarantine item, and it shows me here, wow, just the manufacturer. See, that's even tougher as far as what device this is. I happen to know that it's my own personal phone. So I'm gonna come in here again, and I'm gonna select that I'd like to change the name. And this name is gonna be, let's see, we'll go Batman's phone. We'll hit save. And notice that it's in the quarantine group. That's what's stopping it to have internet access. So I'm gonna select the group, and I'm gonna deselect quarantine. I confirm it, and now you'll notice that it's no longer being blocked internet access, it's able to get on. Now, here's what's also cool. Let's say that we've got our kids' phones and our kids' devices. This is my last setting I want to show you. I'm going to come into the device itself, and there's the Batman's phone there. If this was my grandson's phone, I would click on it and look at my options. I can turn off pornography. I can block social media. If I want, I can block it for an hour, or I can tap it again and block it until I release it. I can also block games for up to an hour or permanently. I can also block video. So any website that he goes to that wants to stream video, I can block it for an hour, or I can block it forever. Now, let's go ahead and open these back up here. And the one thing I'm going to do is show you the new features by Firewalla, and it's these social networks. Notice I have YouTube. I can block it. I can block TikTok. I can block Facebook. I can come into the app control and select Netflix, Roblox, Snapchat, Twitter. And this list continues to get bigger as Firewalla develops more and more features. So again, I can say, you know what? My grandson doesn't need to be watching Netflix. I can block it again for an hour or always. So those are some of the basic setup options that you'll want to deploy when you install your Firewalla. Now, there are tons more features available. We're going to show you how to configure those settings and what they mean to you in other videos. So do yourself a favor and like and subscribe to this channel. You all know the drill, right? It helps us. As well as hit that notification button so that when we come out with those videos, you get notified and you can secure your home. So until next time, be safe.